The slam of my car door hadn't even fully echoed when I heard it. Karen's signature, nasal battle cry slicing through the peaceful afternoon like a warning siren. That outfit is absolutely unacceptable for this neighborhood. The words didn't drift over gently. They attacked us, sharp and deliberate, like she'd been rehearsing all morning. My daughter Emma froze beside me, one foot still halfway out of the car. Her shopping bags rustled as her grip tightened, and she shot me a look that silently said, "Seriously?" We didn't even make it to the porch yet. I couldn't blame her. After 20 years of living next door to Karen, even I wasn't immune to the dread that came with hearing her voice. I inhaled slowly, counting to 3, maybe 4. "Good afternoon to you too, Karen," I said, forcing calm. "She's an adult. She can dress how she wants." Karen strutted toward us like she'd been summoned by the HOA gods themselves. The way she squinted at Emma's outfit, you'd think my kid was wearing radioactive materials, not a simple tank top and jeans. "This is a family community," she snapped. "We have standards, decorum, respectability." Emma blinked, confused. "I'm literally just wearing clothes, Karen." "That," she hissed, pointing dramatically, "is not appropriate." I stepped between them, mostly for safety. Mostly to protect Karen from saying something even more ridiculous. "Look, we're not doing this today. We just came back from shopping. Can we?" But Karen wasn't listening. Her eyes had dropped, zeroing in on something beneath the edge of Emma's top. Something she clearly wasn't expecting. Her expression shifted from judgmental triumph to stunned horror. Like she'd just discovered a crime scene. Her voice trembled. Is that a tattoo?" Emma looked down casually. Yeah, I've had it for months." Karen gasped so loud a jogger across the street actually stopped mid-stride. She clutched her chest like she was participating in a dramatic theater audition. "A tattoo? On your chest? In front of my house? In front of my children? This is an outrage!" I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. I had a sinking feeling this wouldn't end with a dramatic gasp. Karen never stopped at the gasp. And sure enough, she didn't. Her face reddened. Her voice rose. And suddenly she stepped closer, pointing accusingly at Emma, as if she were about to deliver some holy decree. But before she could get the words out, someone else stepped outside. And everything shifted. The screen door next door creaked open, and out stepped Mr. Langley, the HOA president, clipboard in hand as always, like he slept with the thing under his pillow. He surveyed the scene with the suspicious eyes of a man perpetually convinced someone, somewhere, was violating Rule 4B. Karen immediately pounced. "Oh, thank goodness you're here," she wailed, gesturing at Emma as if she'd just uncovered a scandal. "Look at what she's wearing. And the tattoo, right there on her chest for the entire neighborhood to see." Langley blinked at Emma, then at me, then back at Karen. "Karen, it's 86 degrees outside. She's wearing normal clothes." Karen's jaw tightened. "It's indecent. It's offensive. It undermines the values of this community." I crossed my arms, leaning casually against the car. "Karen, you're acting like she walked out wearing a neon sign with swear words. It's a tank top. And a tattoo," she added dramatically. "A permanent stain on the sanctity of this neighborhood." Emma raised a brow. "It's a flower, a small one." Karen spun toward the growing audience, because of course there was one. A couple walking their dog paused. A teenager on a skateboard rolled to a quiet stop. Even Old Man Harris peeked through his blinds. Karen never missed a chance to perform, and apparently today was her Broadway debut. She lifted her arms as if rallying troops. "Are we going to allow this? Are we going to let people parade around with chest art?" Langley sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Karen, there's no rule against tattoos." "But there should be," she barked. "This is a community of standards, and I, as a homeowner, have the right to demand action." "Action for what exactly?" I asked, genuinely curious which part of the fabricated crisis she'd escalate to next. Karen pointed a trembling finger at Emma. "I want her written up." Langley stared at her. "Written up for having a chest tattoo?" "Yes, and for dressing inappropriately." "That's not how—" Before he could finish, Karen stormed up my driveway like she owned it and grabbed a piece of mail from my porch, one of my HOA notices. She held it up like evidence. "See? See? This is what happens when we get lenient." Langley's face drained of color. "Karen, that's federal mail." The crowd gasped. Karen froze, and in that perfect, suspended second, the moment her brain caught up, Her face shifted from righteous fury to, oh no, I messed up panic. Because tampering with someone's mail? That's a crime, a real one. And she'd just done it, in front of witnesses. For a full, glorious second. Karen just stood there on my porch, still clutching my mail like she was holding the winning trophy for neighborhood morality enforcement. The crowd had gone completely silent. Even the dog walker's schnauzer stopped sniffing a bush and stared. Karen blinked at Langley. What do you mean, federal? Langley exhaled slowly, the kind of tired sigh reserved for people who have explained the same thing way too many times. Karen, touching someone else's mail isn't an HOA issue. It's a federal offense. As in, actual law enforcement. The color drained from her face so fast I almost felt bad. Almost. Emma whispered beside me. Mom, did Karen just commit a felony in broad daylight? I shrugged. I mean, if the shoe fits. Karen immediately dropped the envelope like it was on fire, stumbling backward. I didn't know. I was just showing an example. You were trespassing, I added flatly, and touching my private mail. She spun toward the growing circle of neighbors who'd endured years of her unsolicited commentary about lawn heights, holiday decorations, parking angles, and one memorable rant about someone's wind chimes being too whimsical. Now all those witnesses stared at her with a quiet, simmering satisfaction. Karen sputtered. I was only trying to keep the community decent. If people start tattooing... Emma jumped in, arms folded. Karen, it's a flower tattoo, on my chest, and I'm an adult. The only indecent thing here is you screaming at me over clothes. Karen opened her mouth, struggling for a comeback, but Langley stepped forward first. Karen, you can't police people's bodies, or their outfits, or their mail. He paused, then added with a grim tone, and this isn't the first complaint about your behavior. Karen snapped her head toward him. Complaint? From who? 3 different neighbors suddenly found their shoes very interesting. One coughed. Another pretended to check a non-existent text. Langley continued, firm now. I'm formally warning you, any more harassment, trespassing, or fabricated HOA complaints, and the board will take action. Karen's mouth fell open. She looked at Emma, then at me, then at the envelope on the ground like it had betrayed her personally. This is unbelievable, she muttered, shaking her head. Then louder. You're all overacting. She spun around, stomping back toward her own yard, muttering incoherently about respect, standards, and probably the downfall of civilization. But halfway across the lawn, she froze again, because standing at the end of the sidewalk was a patrol car. It rolled to a slow stop, window down, officer leaning out. Ma'am, he called, eyes on Karen. We got a report of a disturbance and possible mail tampering. Karen went pale again, and this time she had nowhere to run. The officer stepped out of the patrol car with the unhurried confidence of someone who's dealt with neighborhood theatrics far too often. Karen stood frozen on her lawn, hands twitching by her sides, eyes darting between the officer, the envelope on my driveway, and the half-circle of neighbors now leaning in like they'd paid for front-row seats. Ma'am, the officer said, voice steady. We received a call about a verbal disturbance and possible interference with private mail. Are you involved? Karen sputtered. I was only enforcing community standards. She jabbed a shaking finger toward Emma. Was dressed inappropriately and flaunting tattoos. I was protecting the neighborhood. Emma leaned toward me. Does she think this is a superhero origin story? I smothered a laugh. The officer blinked at Karen, unimpressed. Ma'am, dress code opinions aren't law, but mail tampering? That's serious. He nodded toward the envelope lying on the pavement like Exhibit A. Did you pick that up? Karen opened her mouth, but only a tiny squeak came out. She looked desperately toward the neighbors, but all of them suddenly developed the remarkable ability to avoid eye contact. I didn't know, she tried again. I was just showing an example, for the community. The officer raised a brow. Showing an example by trespassing on someone's porch? And grabbing mail that isn't yours? Karen's breathing turned shallow. I didn't trespass. I was maintaining order. Karen, I said gently. Too gently, really. You marched onto my property while screaming at my daughter. That's not order. That's Thursday chaos, and we're used to it. But the law isn't. A ripple of laughter moved through the watching neighbors. Karen shot me a glare sharp enough to slice drywall. You're twisting everything! She was dressed indecently! The officer looked at Emma, whose tank top was, objectively, just a tank top. Her attire is fine, he said plainly. And she has every right to wear it. Tattoos too. Karen's face crumpled, like her entire worldview was folding in on itself. So, I'm the criminal now? No one said criminal, the officer replied. But I do need to file an incident report, and I strongly suggest you refrain from approaching their property, touching their mail, or harassing residents based on clothing choices. Don't forget to subscribe to Karen Edition for more dramatic, cinematic, real-life stories. Your support helps the channel grow and lets us keep bringing you wild neighborhood showdowns and unbelievable Karen moments. If you enjoyed the story, make sure to like the video. Tell us in the comments, which moment impressed you the most? We love hearing your reactions.